From this day forward, you are all psychic soldiers, paranormal paratroopers, mental marines who are about to ship out on the adventure of their lives. This is our beachhead, and this is your landing craft. You shall engage the enemy in his own mentality. You shall chase his dreams. You shall fight his demons. You shall live his nightmares. And those of you who fight well, you will find yourselves on the path to becoming international secret agents. In other words, Psychonauts. The rest of you will die.
Psychonauts box art reminds us that it comes from the mind of Tim Schafer, whose design credits include adventure classics like Maniac Mansion, Monkey Island, and Grim Fandango. So it should come as no surprise that Psychonauts shows promise with its adventure trappings and interesting premise, but is held back by unrefined platforming and an undercooked plot. Players assume the role of Razputin, a circus runaway who sneaks into Whispering Rock Psychic Summer Camp, a government facility where children are trained as psychic agents. Raz proves to be a much better psychonaut than his fellow campers, and soon becomes embroiled in the brain-stealing plot of a hook-handed dentist. It's a good premise, subverting the expected by madlibbing the absurd on top of it, but it doesn't build to anything worthwhile. The antagonists are toothless, the real villains are oversimplified Freudian issues, and conflicts resolve so quickly it's difficult to be caught up in what little tension the story offers. Psychonauts works better as a light comedy than the pretensions of psychological drama woven into its tapestry would suggest.
Lily, a deranged madman is building an army of psychic death tanks to take over the world, and there's no one who can stop him, except for you and me!
Oh my god! Let's make out!
What?
Players divide their time between the Whispering Rock Psychic Summer Camp and a variety of abstract mental planes. The former serves as a hub for the latter as the player penetrates the psyches of a colorful cast, resolving their inner conflicts to make them more amenable in the physical world. Whispering Rock is detailed for a hub, showing the passage of time through the interactions and relationships of Raz's fellow campers. This part of the game is short-lived, however. Once night falls, the plot necessitates seeing far less of the campers, making it difficult to remain invested unless the player makes a particularly fervent effort. While Whispering Rock is typical for a hub, Raz's forays into mental worlds mix up the gameplay. These stages begin pretty vanilla, consisting of predictable obstacle courses and combat scenarios, but exhibit stronger adventure genre influences as the player penetrates deeper and deeper, particularly in the Milkman Conspiracy and Glorious Theater. These are, by far, the strongest levels, if only because they minimize platforming. This is where Psychonauts falters. It's a 3D platformer to its core, but not a very good one. Jumping is unresponsive, the camera is uncooperative, and a depth perception issue makes it easy to overshoot your targets, sending you plummeting down a pit, or worse, forced to retread the previous platforms. When Psychonauts chooses to expose the player to platforming, it exposes its glaring weaknesses, and it's in the ultimate level where this problem is most prevalent. The Meat Circus is hair-pullingly difficult, a collection of everything Psychonauts does wrong in platforming condensed into a single, infuriating level. Being a 3D platformer, Psychonauts has lots of collectibles. Psi challenge markers can be found or assembled, raising Raz's cadet rating and granting him new psychic powers. Most of the collectibles are found in mental worlds, including emotional baggage, vaults, and figments. Figments are terrible, partially transparent, occasionally mobile, often contrasting poorly with the surrounding environment. They serve as a condemning lesson of how not to do collectibles in a platformer. Players also gather arrowheads, which can be exchanged for items at the camp shop. Arrowhead gathering is tedious, and the entire game grinds to a halt when you are suddenly expected to purchase the shop's most expensive item. Imagine if Super Mario 64 forced you to stop gathering Power Stars while you farm coins in Peach's castle to buy the wing cap, to get an idea of how much the arrowheads in the camp shop adds to the game. Psychonauts is visually inventive, has an original concept, and spins an imaginative yarn, but these are trappings hung on a not particularly refined 3D platformer. If you're able to ignore the platforming shortcomings and the shallow psychological issues, the situations players are thrust into may be worth the price of admission. But a genre darling, this isn't. Its systems lack the polish and simple competence needed to join the pantheon of gaming's great. It has all the ingredients to be a memorable experience, but the mediocrity of its systems drives it to being forgettable.
Great, well, I'm off to go kill myself.
You know, you could be a more constructive critic.